It is truly exciting, and it's truly just exciting to have an opportunity to connect with all of you who are on the live call with us, and for those who are will be joining us via social media, and for those who are going to tap in later today or sometime during the week. We're just thankful that you are connecting with us here with the Mastermind call with the Dream Makers Network. Very, very excited for today's call for a host of different reasons. But if you're on the call for the first time, welcome. My name is Byron Deese, founder of the Dream Makers Network. And we started, I guess we'll just lead in with it. We started this network 11 years ago today. 11 years ago today, we started this network in 2012.
Wow.
2012.
What a deep thing to hear. Are you serious?
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, indeed. It was the kickoff into Labor Day weekend 11 years ago. And Saturday, leading into Labor Day 11 years ago. And we are still rocking every it's amazing, man. It is so amazing when you just think back to those times of where we were and what was going on, and Brother Mitchell can clearly paint that picture for folks who are on the line. I mean, it was just a period in time where we just filled with, filled with optimism and responsibility. And I think that's probably the best way to articulate that.
Great way to describe it, man. Look, I am lost. So just so you know, I had a long day yesterday. I was up at 3:30 traveling, from Florida up here, and landed, and I had to get my truck worked on, and I saw Riley play her first varsity volleyball game.
Wow.
And, so that was long, and then I didn't get back here home till about 8:30, so I was out for the count. I just woke up. But when you said that look, it's kind of like a dog hearing something, his ears pop up.
Yep. And for folks who don't know,
everyone,
and that's the thing for
everybody.
For folks who don't know, it was myself, Dwayne Mitchell, we just heard, and Paz Morris, and we were flipping burgers at the deck of my house 2 houses ago. and we were, and the thing was, I was, so I was roughly 2 years married, had a 1-year-old daughter, and Paz was, I think, maybe 2-3 years married, no kids at the time. Dwayne, you had 2 kids, was married. Were you divorced at that point?
No, I just got divorced.
Okay. Yeah.
Just got divorced, and I was switching jobs, and I was commission only, selling office supplies.
That's right.
Commission only.
That's right.
Sometimes sleeping out of my car because I didn't have enough gas money to go back and forth from Baltimore to DC, because I always made sure I was paying my child support. Support was the first thing that was being paid.
Wow.
And then I survived off of everything else. So I had to make sure, child support first, and then everything else was next. Wow. And I didn't have enough money to go back and forth from Baltimore to DC a couple times. So I slept in my car. So all my clients was in DC and Northern Virginia, but I was staying at my dad's house in Randallstown, Baltimore, Maryland.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so you take that picture, and we were all kind of early in our, in what was happening in our lives, but it was something about the mastermind. That was when we all kind of had a thirst for knowledge. We're trying to figure this thing out as young brothers, trying to figure out how to be, good parents, how to be dads, how to be productive in business, how to achieve the American dream. I mean, it's been talked about all these years. It's like, is it possible for us? And we would sit on that deck, flip burgers, and just really go in with the spirit of intentionality of, personal development. How do we get better? How do we go from where we are to where we're trying to go? And the great part about that is none of that has stopped. We are continually, we're still at that point of focusing on personal development. How do we go from where we are to where we want to be? But I would say the part that's the biggest blessing of all of this is that all of that is faith. It's that ability to believe that what you want is real. And if you continue to pursue, even though it's not tangible yet, that word faith that we kind of hear about in church, or we hear about along the way, that it is a real thing. And all we have to do is follow exactly what that word means. And what we try to do here on this call is to at least spark the process of thinking about what's not here, but why it should be part of your life. Why does progress matter? Why does, having goals and writing a vision and making it plain and pursuing it, and not just living in the world of ideas, but never pursuing it, but to go from ideas, or at least to go from, positive energy, to even have a positive mindset, to at least start there, and then allow that positive energy to go into ideas. Because let me just stop for a second and and have you think about this. And I know we've all been in this situation. You ever tried to create, ideas when you're in a negative space? When you're like really just in a bad mood, when you find that your conversation is negative, and then you start trying to come up with ideas. I know for myself, and I can only speak for myself in this, whenever I'm in that situation, I find myself, even if I even attempted the process of trying to create an idea, it went from idea to worry. It went from, I'm thinking about something that I want, but I'm so in a funk right now that I'm now worrying, and I'm actually now doubting that I can get past this current state of frustration, and that's producing, the negative energy. And so it is very important to, even on a daily basis, do whatever you can to protect your mind, to protect your energy, because there's so many things thrown at us every day to make us negative. I mean, if you turn on the news, as soon as you turn the news on, they're getting ready to highlight all of the negative things that have just happened while you were asleep, and what could possibly be, negative to come, and so we have to protect ourselves. And, we look back 11 years ago today, we started a network that just made a commitment to, we know we're going to go through a bunch of negative stuff in life, but can we at least have a group of folks that we focus on positive things? Can we at least have that? Can I at least have a group of people who, when we come together, we're getting ready to focus on how do we get better from where we are to what's next? And that is, I think, is that unique connective tissue that we've had over the past 11 years that has, everyone who started in this network early on, those who we've met, say maybe midway through, 5, 6, 7 years ago, those who have been around, say, for the past 2 years, even since the pandemic, those who come and stayed. We've had a host of people who have kind of listened in and say, this is great. Or maybe we met at some events that we've hosted and things like that. We still, at least I do, when I see them and I connect with them, I connect with those folks as if they never left. It's like you were a part of, you played an instrumental role in an aspect of this. But I think, it's just I would say on a more personal level, for the rest of my life at least, I can look at this period of time and what we've done for each other in terms of supporting each other through challenge, supporting each other at great moments through successes and wins. I can look at that period. And even if I'm still in kind of a weird situation, maybe I'm in a roadblock, or either just mentally or emotionally in a state of, just don't want to do anything, I can still look back to the past 11 years and say, you know what? At some point, I must have had some bad times during those past 11 years, but we definitely progressed up to where things are now. I was, one thing I like about looking at Facebook Live is that, I'm sorry, Facebook Memories, is that it gives you those updates of what you did this time, whatever years ago. All the way for me, I think it's been like 14 years I've been on Facebook. And it popped up and it said, it was a post I shared, I don't know, I think 8 years ago. And it was this week. And it said, do you remember when you prayed for what you currently have? Like, do you remember when you were praying for the life you currently have? And a lot of times people forget that they were in a space, and we were in a space where, man, I just wish I could get a better job. I wish my job paid, X, Y, and Z. And now you're like 2 times past that. I wish I could just own my own house. I wish I could just find someone to love. I wish I could have children, or whatever the case may be. All those kinds of prayers and things that you wanted. Do you remember where you were when you were asking yourself and you were praying to God for those things? And now you have it. And it's a nice reminder that we still have goals. We still have things that we're working on, but show some real value and celebrate the fact that you were able to accomplish the stuff that you thought was impossible at some point in time. So that is, I would say, more than anything else, just the big reason why we do this. This is why I'm just on the inside really celebrating right now. Just that spirit of consistency. That was one thing that I ran into another brother who used to join our calls, and he hit me up once. Actually, he was on the call. He didn't say anything. He sent me a text and said, man, I'm just thankful for your consistency, of staying committed to this kind of work, because I needed it. And you just never know where people are. You never know what's going on. You see people, you hug them, you smile, and you walk away, and you never know what they're getting ready to go and deal with. And so that's always on my mind. So it's so important to not throw bad energy on people. You know what I'm saying? Because you just never know what's going on. And so I'm thankful for this network. I'm thankful for everybody who's on the call right now. Thankful for everyone who's going to hear us, and for folks who will connect later. But it's just, I'm kind of in celebration mode right now, to be honest with you, and completely overwhelmed with thankfulness and just grateful for this whole experience and the purpose of this network. And so with that, I'm thankful. And I just want to say thank you to everybody who's on the line now and who have been just invested your time and energy in this network. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Before we dive in, I said, let's open up the call, because I know a lot of you guys have been on part of this network for years. And, if there's anything you'd like to share about the past 11 years and how it's, your experiences, the good, the bad, the ugly. So let's take a second. We'll open up the call now. It's always great to be able to hear this perspective of folks who've been there, who've been a part of this network. So we'll take a second and open up the call now.
Hey, Hey, Brother D, it's Dwayne Mitchell here. I'm going to keep this short and sweet because you just said it all in that last 15 minutes. But I just want to thank everyone over the 11 years that's supported Dreammakers, and that's my group, and everyone that supported myself. So thank you, everyone that's on the call, that's not on the call, that's been on the call, that's going to be on the call in the future to keep us going. When I hear stories from friends, family, associates, acquaintances that join on and share what they've been through, what they're going through, and then the most important part, their success stories. You know, being a success financially, physically, emotionally, or even spiritually. So I just want to say a big thank you to everyone for keeping me inspired, keep pushing myself. What's that saying? It takes a team. You know, it takes a team to make the dream work. Right? You know, so thanks to the team for making the dream work. That's it. That's what I say. And thank you. I'm blessed. When you say 11 years, I'm blessed. You know, and a lot has happened to myself, good and bad, in the last 11 years. But I experienced a lot of tragedy the last 3 years. Well, no, 4 years actually. It's not due to COVID, just natural causes, somewhat COVID, but some natural causes of either, you know, family members, but definitely a lot of friends that passed away. And so now when I wake up, when I put my feet on the floor, I say, thank you, God, for blessing me with another opportunity for me to reach my ultimate goal. You know? Yeah. So, yeah. So every time I wake up, I just say, thank you. All right, I got another opportunity. And people always, you know, I don't know, I think I kind of share this with a lot of people. You know, I'm starting to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning, hitting the gym, yada, yada, yada. But when I do that, and I'm just full of energy, you know. The energy is just being thankful. And all right, you guys know me. You know, whenever I get talking, kind of like, you know, by a little bit, I always have an example or something that encountered my life, and this just popped up. So this past weekend, last couple of days, I was down in Lake Nona. I was at the Wave Hotel property that I saw the phone systems at. And I was doing another one down there, which is a loft, and surprised Byron and Rhea down there with a quick shout out. You know, only like maybe 20 minutes, if that much, because I had to get back to work. But anyway, so my flight left at 6:30 yesterday morning, or something like that. So I was getting at the airport about 5, no problem. And I go to pick up. What did I pick up? I went to get like tropical mix, and just something just I could snack on. And because with me, I'm all about human interaction. I love people. I love this style. I love to interact with people. So I go in. There was this lady. I think, I'm not sure where she was from. I don't know if she was from South America or Mexico. Anyway, she had a strong accent. So I go in there, and there was like maybe 2 other people in there, but there was 2 ladies working. And then I walk up with my snack, and she goes, "You pay credit card cash?" I was like, "Are you charging me extra for credit card?" Because everyone needs to be aware now. If you go out to most restaurants or establishment, if you pay by credit card, they put an additional 3% onto your bill. So a lot of places are starting to do that now. So I tend to carry cash, and I pay cash now. Because if you think about it, you're paying whatever it costs for the item that you're purchasing, then you're paying 3% on top of that. And if you don't pay that item off within the end of the month, then you're paying the APR percentage. So that item that you thought was $10 has now jumped up to like $13, $14. So that's a little financial thing. I'm starting paying cash with everything. And my motto is, if I can't pay cash for it, that means I cannot afford it. So anyway, so back up to this lady, and she goes, "Credit card? Oh, you know, you can go here, check out." I'm like, "No, I don't want to. Do I have to?" Like, "No, credit card right there." I'm like, "Do I have to?" Looked at me, and then I smiled. I was like, "I prefer to work with you." And she gave me a little smile. And then this mature lady came over, and she was buying something, and she looked, and she was like, "Oh, you're first." I was like, No. Ladies first, go right ahead. And she was like, "Oh, thank you, young man. No problem. And then, so I walked in, and the lady, she bought a book, and then the lady said, hey, do you want a bookmark? And she was like, my God, that'd be great, thank you. And I said like that, I said, listen, if she would have went to that automated, the automated machine, she would never get the interaction with you. She would never get a bookmark. See how important it is to still have a human interaction? I was like, and she said good morning to you. They say good morning to her. I was like, and another thing, those machines, they don't pay taxes. You pay taxes. You have a job. You're able to eat. You're able to do things with your family.
Yeah.
So if you want to be replaced with those self-checkouts, that's fine, but now we don't have that human interaction. She didn't have the opportunity to get a bookmark, and you didn't get a chance to make me smile. Or I didn't get a chance to make you smile, or have a conversation.
Yeah.
So then I said it with the other lady there, the mature lady, and this lady walked off, and then I looked at her, I was like, thank you so much for helping her. I think that made her day, because she said, thank you so much for the bookmark. That was so nice of you. And I said again, I was like, that machine would never done that. That would have been such a transactional, zeros and ones, type of interaction. Then I stepped up and I was like, this is what she said to me. She's like, do you drink coffee or energy drink? I'm like, no, this is me in the morning. I was like, I wake up at 4 o'clock every day at the gym. I was like, I don't put coffee, no sugar, no junk food in the morning. No, I'm trying to get healthy. I'm trying to put good stuff in my body. I'm trying to have a good body, good mind, good spirit, and everything. And she goes, oh my God, wow. She's like, well, I was up at 2:30 this morning. But 2:30? She's like, 2:30 so I can be here. I'm like, well, thank you very much. I really appreciate you waking up early to be here to help me out so I can continue to get home. And I told her, so I'm going home to my kids. My daughter's a volleyball match.
Yeah.
She goes, oh my gosh, she goes, good luck. And I said, think about this. I would have never got that information or the love from you or from anyone if I would have went to that machine. Only thing I would have got was an additional 3% on my item. And if I didn't pay this all, an additional, whatever my APR is.
Yeah.
If I didn't pay it all. So actually, you saved me money. I had a great conversation. I said, oh, by the way, I said, my cousin just gave me a book, and Brian, I showed her the book.
You did?
And the one you gave me. She's like, oh, really? I was like, yeah. So you should check this book out. It's really nice. I don't know. I'm about to read it, on the plane ride. But man, I have a bookmark. She goes, well, it's really only made for people who buy books, but here you go. Excuse me. And I said, you know what? Thank you. Once again, I would never got this if I went to a self-checkout.
Wow.
So thank you for helping me start my day off really great. So, yeah. So again, my little story side notes always make it personal here.
Yeah.
But thank you to everyone, again, that will go on the call, that's going on the call, that stays on the call, that's going to be on the call for keeping the dream and opportunity going. So thanks, everybody.
Wow. Love it. Love it. You always give that personal touch. I love it. I love it. This is definitely, and the book he's talking about actually is The Gospel of Wealth. I have it here in a second. Let's see here. I've been sharing this book with definitely all of my clients and folks who I know won't just use it as as a coaster, but people who will actually open the book, which is The Gospel of Wealth by Andrew Carnegie. And it's always good to hear from folks who actually were at some point the richest person in the world, and they felt like they didn't want to keep that information and die with the information, but wanted to share it at the same time. And it's a quick read, easy read, but I'll tell you, and to that example, we've talked a lot about on this call over the years about auto suggestion, which basically, trying to protect what we hear, see, and what we take in and allow our thoughts to think about. And the first sensory that we have is our eyes, and so we open our eyes, we're now taking in information. And so it's just something about being able to, I come into the office in the morning and then I look around and I see things that are making me think about things that are either giving me energy, making me creating more positive energy, creating the ideas that start to work that engine in the mind, even when I may be focused on something else, but my subconscious is now, because I looked at it, subconscious is now working. And it's crazy how that stuff just plays out. You find yourself in a meeting or in a conversation with someone, and you're talking about something completely different. Then all of a sudden, this boom, this insightful moment happens, and you begin to share on a topic that you're like, where did that come from? Like, when and where did I learn that information? When and where like, how did I connect these dots, or at least ask the kind of questions that would send a conversation into a much more, insightful kind of moment. And so when you see things like that, the gospel of wealth, you see these other big, phrases in front of your face, it sparks something. And I do think that's probably a really good segue before we open the call back up to folks who, love to share about their past 11 years and their experiences over the past 11 years with this network. One thing that we try to focus on in this call is books, and making sure that people are taking in information, whether you're a book reader and you like to flip through the pages, or if you're getting the information in on Audible, or if you're a YouTuber and like to, watch documentaries and get that information that way, whatever. We just want you to pursue the information, get access to valuable information that's that's really going to help you get from where you are to where you want to go. And I think about the past 90 days and with this 90-day goal setting challenge. And, we kicked off in Memorial Day with a goal for this summer. What are we going to accomplish this summer? What are we pursuing this summer? And, I started off reading this book here. And if you're on social media, you can see the book is called The End of the World is Just the Beginning. The End of the World is Just the Beginning by Peter Zion. And the whole purpose of that book is to talk about what happens if what we now currently know as globalization just becomes not a thing anymore. And what are the repercussions? What should we really expect to see? And for me, as a financial professional, this kind of book is helpful to begin to not only have a better outlook on the world of investments and the global economy, but at the same time to be able to spark the types of conversations with clients that will make them think about it. And why was that important to me to start reading a book like that in Memorial Day? Because when I thought about my 90-day goal setting challenge, I wanted to focus on building a professional services firm, that would be kind of a one-stop shop for clients in terms of, financial and business management. That was my goal. It's like 90 days, we have to build an infrastructure that will really add more value to my clients and I always ask that question of myself and to others as well. But, it's like, who am I doing this for? Am I doing this for myself? Am I doing this for my clients? Am I doing this for my family? And if all those are the answer, in what order? And start really breaking down the why of activities. And I think back to so that book pretty much allowed me to force a dust off an older book that I've read maybe a couple of years back called Managing the Professional Service Firm by David Meister, and which was, it's almost like the Bible of for folks who have built law firms and CPA firms and financial wealth management companies, how to run an effective and efficient firm and professional services firm. And so I want to highlight that because we all have our own unique things. Like we walked into that 90-day goal setting challenge with a goal. And the question is, like, was it big enough for you to keep pushing, or was it kind of a short-term goal? Or was it tangible? Was it spiritual? Was it, and so we want to really think about these types of initiatives as something that you can look back over the last 90 days and say, I accomplished this or I started it and I went through, I had a hiccup, I started it early on and it didn't work. What did you learn? Like really being in a situation, like that's the whole purpose of these summers is to, number one, it allows people who maybe had a New Year's resolution to, say, hey, I didn't do that well with the New Year's resolution, but I still want to accomplish that goal. So I'm going to start it for the summer. And, I just, over the years, when I look back over the past 11 years, I just really found a lot of value in listening to you guys' goals, your stories. In many ways, I'm like, okay, well, what can I do to help? Because I recognize a lot of times we have these goals, but if we feel like we're kind of in it by ourselves and we don't have a network of people at least introducing us to people or trying to find a way to be supportive, then you only know as what you know. And networks are powerful. Networks are folks who can open doors, folks who can share some information, folks who can be there when on your worst day and give you a little bit of information that may say, you know what, I didn't think about it that way. Let me try that. Let me try this let me make that phone call. So let's take a second. We'll open up the call back. Just want to connect with folks who would like to maybe share about your past 90 days, where you are, how was this summer process for you for the 90-day goal setting challenge? And at the same time, especially for those folks who've been around for a while and would love to share about today is our 11th anniversary for the Dreammakers Network and hosting this call. And so we'll take a second. Let's open up the call. Anyone who would like to share and bring us up to speed about your relationship with the network in the past 90 days. We'll open up the call now.
Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Shoot, my story goes back around the same time, I think.
It does.
Yeah, probably shortly after that. And you all have probably heard this, some of you. But on the flight to New Orleans, Southwest, I think.
Yeah.
We were almost full. The plane, I get on, I see these two brothers sitting down talking to each other, engaged in a conversation. I put my bags up and I asked, can I sit with you all? And you're like, all right, sure. You push over and y'all stop talking. So I'm looking like, okay, why did y'all stop talking? And if anybody knows anything about anybody from New Orleans, you're very bold.
Yeah,
like, why did y'all stop? So we just hit it off from there.
Yeah.
We started talking about law of attraction and, like, yeah, I know that book and blah, 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 I have that book. But from there, it was like a beautiful relationship. It was Taz and Byron.
Yeah.
I love the energy that y'all were putting out. I'm like, yeah, this is something I should be a part of because I was new to Maryland.
Yeah.
And I didn't really have a bunch of friends, but I'm very selective with who I let in my inner circle. So if you're not feeding me, I don't need more people just pulling from me.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I just want people to pour into me. And you two seem like you can fit the bill. So I embraced you all. I'm like, okay, you guys are my friends now. So I pick you two.
Yeah.
So from there, it's just I've grown from having these friendships, this connection, because it challenged me every year to do something different, every year to be better, every year. Because here it is, 11 years later, I'm still on this call.
Yeah.
And one thing about me, I'm not afraid of long-term commitment if it's working.
Yeah.
So if it's working, you keep working it, you keep growing it, you keep cultivating it, because it's starting the fruits are starting to show up.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell a tree by the type of fruit it bears and stuff like that. So what you guys are feeding me, I'm feeding other people, and other people are being blessed from what I gather from here, and I'm challenging other people outside of this mastermind group. But this is the plug. This is where I recharge. So 90-day goals, I'm still working on mine. What I have in the making is starting a franchise. And right now I have 2 practices, but I've branched off, started a new business, started a new company. I have investors who they're on board, they're completely sold. They see the need for it. And we just want to go start off on the East Coast and make our way over to the West Coast at some point, and the South. Because my mom is like, okay, you got to bring it here.
Yeah.
The South wants something too. So just working that and just trying to connect all the pieces and get people on board to be a part of it, because I no longer desire to do everything by myself. I'm so beyond that. And the older I get, the more I realize it literally takes a village in everything.
Yeah.
I don't want to be independent anymore. I'm over that. But that's where I am. So I'm pregnant with a vision right now. And we're almost ready. Almost ready. Got some Braxton Hicks contractions right now. But it's not time. But I'm working on it. So that's where I am. Thank you for 11 years of commitment. Thank you for your loyalty. I know you have a super busy life. Everybody does. But thank everybody for being a part of my growth. And this is just about me right now. This service. But thank you all, because I've learned something from everybody. I've taken a little bit of everybody and plugged it into my life. And I so appreciate the friendship from this. So happy 11th anniversary, guys. Happy
11th anniversary. Oh, I love that. And I don't know what year that was. I don't know if that was that the first 90-day challenge or maybe the second 90-day challenge when Dr. Truesdale jumped on, and she was like, all right, I want to start a dental practice because I've been running this man's practice for the past several years. And, I want to start my own. And it kicked off with the 90-day goal setting challenge. And it was the definition of when somebody takes it seriously, right? I mean, it was like, I was like, okay, this is the definition of, she took the goal seriously, and by the end of the 90 days, she was signing her term sheet. Like, this is it. We're moving into this building over here. And, and everybody quit their dentist, and she became our dentist, right? And so that was just the kind of the spirit of, one, having a network of people who are committed to faith, and two, just the whole aspect of supporting Black economics, especially when you're talking about folks who are very competent at what they're doing. It's one thing we all want to, every now and again support, our folks who have a hustle going on, so yeah, brother trying to do a little something, help them out. But it's another when you align yourself with, really the Black excellence at its finest in the various professions, and begin to create an ecosystem around that excellence. And that is, so what, a decade ago, we said, let's do it. And they all came, they came in support. And it's just about, and those, I would assume, Dana, in this situation, when you can look back on past successes and how the network came together and how the business was able to expand, you can look into the future at what's possible, other opportunities, and say, yeah, maybe we should do that. Maybe we should franchise. I don't see why that wouldn't work. It seems a much more doable maybe now than it would have maybe 10 years ago, because there's past history to say, hey, yeah, this worked. Now I'm ready to shift my energies into that. And especially if you can see the real need, you can see how it can be profitable. You can see the need, and it's just a blessing to be able to see and hear. And then you actually kind of tapped into what I was going to talk a little bit about today. Is when we end kind of a 90-day goal setting challenge, and you highlighted it, say, I'm still working on mine. But the question I really want to, kind of sow in your mind right now for everyone who's listening is, what does the next level look like for you? It's good to have a conversation like this after you've gone through a 90-day goal setting challenge, and you've been working hard on one particular thing or building something over the past 90 days. You've put some intentionality, some focus, you've had some trials and errors. And now, but you at least are at a point where you can say, you know what, I may not be there yet, but I'm working, like this is something that I want. Then the next question really is, what does the next level really look like for you? And when we say the next level, like what does it require? When you picture in your mind what the next 3, 5, 10, 20 years look like, what does it require? When it, are there things that, that you see yourself doing, working on those goals, that is different from your normal day to day? That it could be the case that you may have to, learn something different because what you want requires a certain skill set, and you don't have all of that yet, and you're trying to figure out how to connect that dot. Or you may need to begin to associate with certain people and groups, who are not in your current circle yet, because what you see requires a network that's not currently part of your circle. Have you thought of, and this is an open question, anybody feel free to jump in on that question, but I really want you guys to think about that, because I can tell you, when I look at the past 11 years, I also think about people we've met over the past 11 years who may have saw it in their mind. They may have said, yeah, that is exactly what I want. But for whatever reason, wasn't willing to disrupt the current life. It could be because of family obligations. Could be, it could be health related. It could be just past experiences that have gotten in the way of the subconscious. Maybe it's that subconscious battle. That battle between the conscious and the subconscious mind that says, you know what, I know you want that. I got it. But, subconscious says, I'm here to protect you and take care of you. We're not doing that. So, I'd love to open up the call, and just kind of, ask, get your thoughts on that, in terms of, can you see the future? Can you see your future? Have you spent that kind of time thinking about the next level? And, but are there things about that next level that makes you fearful? Or are there things about the next level that has you so fired up that you're just like, I'm working every day and I'm not afraid? I mean, the drama's in the details, right? So we'll open up the call now to anybody who'd love to share and just kind of talk a little bit about their thoughts on the next level in your personal life. We'll open up the call now.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you? Hi. So actually, this is an amazing kind of like start for me. I'm just starting out, and I met Dwayne?
Dwayne Mitchell.
Remember?
Yep.
I met, yes.
Yes,
I met
Dwayne. Yes.
him, I want to say last month or like a month and a half ago, and like we're talking about how I'm starting my business, how I just started real estate, and how everything is so hard. But it's definitely like I'm at a point where it's like scary but exciting. So it's like, oh, I'm scared, but I'm gonna run because I can see it. So like this past month, last month I was on the call And one of you guys told me, hey, maybe you got to leave Keller Williams because if you don't feel comfortable working with them or you don't feel comfortable, being a part of that establishment, maybe it's time to kind of change. So I took that leap and I changed. And since then, real estate has been kind of, I've been really blessed in real estate this past month. I'm actually closing a deal. I'm signing a deal today. So I have many buyers that are flooding to me. And then over the past month, I kind of thought, what can I do to upgrade my credit repair business? I usually, right now, I started my business with a class. So how to teach people to repair credit. But now I'm kind of using, I'm adding an AI system and upgrading and learning a software so that I can be able to help people who don't want to learn how to fix their credit. So that has been an amazing part of this journey as well, because now I can see that, hey, I can have the classes to where though I can teach people or teach corporations how to, upgrade their system or how to help out their clients a little bit better. And also, I can also, have this AI system that is going to help me upgrade my business in the process and work on my business credit and everything. So it's been such an amazing month for me. And it's I can see my goals, and I can see that in the near future, if I keep going and I put God in the center of everything, that everything will work out no matter what. So it's just so beautiful. And I'm so grateful that I got on the phone call with you guys last week. And I'm so grateful to meet Dwight, because now I can say this is beautiful. And last month, I wasn't able to join the call right away. So I missed that prayer session if y'all did it last month. But let's say God is a big thing when it comes to my business. So the way that I feel is, God is in control of everything. So we have to literally give praise and glory and thanks to God for putting us in the position, for even me putting me in the position to meet Dwight, and to kind of give me the perspective that I needed to give me that boost that I needed. Because I feel like if I didn't meet Dwight, then I would be still stuck where I was, and I'm not. It's so beautiful, and I give so much thanks to God for meeting you guys. Wow. And bringing me into this network. So I only just started last month, but I'm not here for 11 years. I don't have the story that you have yet. But I can see that if I continue and I have a group of people that can push me and keep me going and say, hey, it didn't work out last month, but look, here's what you got to do. And here's what you got to kind of understand, and change the mindset for next month. What doesn't work, it doesn't mean that it's the end. It's just you got to kind of change that perspective. And I'm so grateful for you guys. So I thank you.
Wow. Brother Dwayne Mitchell is always always sharing the good news and listen. And your name is Cheyenne, right? Did I pronounce that right?
Yes, it's Cheyenne.
Cheyenne.
Yes.
Yeah. It's unbelievable, right? Because when you think about what you're working on, I can hear the energy. And a lot of times and folks who've been around for a long time know this. You have there's a host of different people on the call who are hearing this, and so you really have to preface a lot of this stuff in ways that could be relevant to anyone. In a perfect world, we'd love to just say, listen, here it is. You got to get excited, and you got to get excited about the goals you want. And you can go to any kind of big event, and you got all the best speakers in the world. They're going to pump you up to go after the goals that you want and give you the recipe to get fired up. And I love going to those events. It reminds me of church, right? But the reality is that there are a lot of people who there's other things mentally and emotionally get in the way of them even able to get excited about what they want. And that is kind of the reality a lot of times when you're talking to people about personal development and growth. And it's as I'm listening to you from our last call and then even now, is that I'm 155% confident that you're going to be successful at what you're pursuing. I would say primarily because you've already highlighted that your relationship with God is at the center of your activities. So it's because a lot of times when people don't have kind of a core relationship, then you feel lonely when you're going after things. You know, when you're pursuing goals, you feel lonely. You feel like I don't have what it takes to win. That winning is for other people. You know what I'm saying? Like winning is for those people, kind of thing. But that's a sound relationship with your creator says, I'm not alone. You know, I'm not alone. I'm actually, supported by the greats of the greats, right? So it gives you that energy to be able to go after what you want with a bit of confidence. And all you have to do is just kind of fight your demons, if you will. Other than that, you're gonna be successful. And so I can hear it. It's especially in your case. All it requires is association. Making sure that as you continue to build out your vision, your goals, that you again recognize that time will allow you to say, I need to bring in other people who have certain skill sets that I don't have, people who have other networks that I don't have, mentors who have done things that I want to do. And just know that you love that there are people in your circle right now that have been a blessing to you, but your network will continue to grow and expand, especially as you begin to pursue different things. And it's such a real conversation to have, because I know some folks who don't leave their own circle, and this is my circle and this is it. And say, great, if that's your circle, then you need to make sure that the folks in your circle can help you get to where you're trying to go. Because if you don't kind of take a step out, if you say, I really want to accomplish this, and no one in your circle has ever done that or has any information to help you get there, then it's, not to say it won't happen, but it could, but definitely you could get there a lot faster, if you're in a situation where you're really and a lot of times when we talk about circles, you may not be able to get physical access to, people who have, accomplished some of the goals that you're pursuing. But I can tell you, these books will help you get there. The information is there. And it's just nothing. I love being in these situations where you can, a book we may have read 3-4 years ago, even longer. And all of a sudden, you're having a conversation with someone you're trying to do business with, or a new person who may be kind of a center of influence who could make some nice introductions for you. And a topic comes up and you read a book, or you met someone who just imparted information to you, and you're now able to participate. You're able to kind of give into that situation, or even better, the situation of someone you actually want to do business with, or someone you want to associate with, and they begin to talk about things that they need in their life. What are the big issues and barriers in their life, in their business? And lo and behold, a book you read, a good person you met gave you some information, and boom, now you're able to share, connect, and provide some ideas that will make them say, yikes, I wish I would have had you in my life 6 months ago because I was going through it. And before you know it, now you're on the verge of a new deal or something like that. And so you're on your way. I mean, it's just no getting around it. Now it's just about being strategic and continue to do what you're doing. It's going to be a beautiful thing. And let's stay connected. Let's stay connected. Even though you've only been here 1 month, you definitely added value to this anniversary call. So thank you.
But Byron, I'm glad you just
so
said
much
it.
as well.
Hey, this is Dwayne Shire. I'm the gentleman that we met a couple months back. I'm just glad, Byron, you just said that last bit. That was exactly what I'm talking about and what I was talking about earlier. That it is something that we were sitting there floating around, 11 years ago, figure out, talk about, there's got to be a better way. There's something we can do. Because what we're doing today is not going to be, it's not going to work for us tomorrow.
Yeah.
And Shire, so thank you, Shire, for joining. Thank you. And thank you for your story, because I am completely overwhelmed. I am so excited for you. I'm so happy for you. I'm blessed for you. I mean, just to hear that you made that jump within 30 days and things are starting to roll and pick up and things are moving in the direction that you want to. Thank you. And I don't know if I told you this, but thank you for helping me out. Because I told you my story of why I was there. And the story was my car was being fixed. My truck was being fixed. I was fed up. I was supposed to drive to look at a new vehicle, but they called me. I was going up there, but they called me saying that they had sold that one. Or the corporate office that sold it to someone else. And I told them I was on my way up to buy it. So now my truck's being fixed. I don't have a car. And Shire said, you know what, Dwayne? That one's not the one for you.
Mm.
She goes, God has a plan for you. That one is not the one for you. And I was like, hey, you're probably right, And then that's when we started talking. But I picked up another vehicle that's a better ride, that has a longer bed, and it has a cat, which I've always wanted.
Mm.
So thank you, young lady, for telling me and keeping me going and look for a vehicle that I wanted, and actually got the one that I wanted. So thank you.
Wow, that's amazing. I'm sorry, I'm actually getting ready for church, but that's so amazing. Like I told you, I was like, don't worry, God, that's not the one. God has something in store for you. So that's so amazing.
Love it.
Yes, thank you. So do me a favor, just tell me the days that you're back at the restaurant again. I want to come see you again, because I came back in, I think 2 weeks later, and I don't think you were there that day. Is it Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday? I forget which day.
I actually stopped working there.
Okay, perfect.
Yep. So
you did tell me that was temporary. Yes.
Yep.
That's part of the progress.
Yep. She said, you said, no. You was like, no, this is temporary. I was like, okay, cool. That's what I'm talking about. Perfect.
I love it. Stay at it, man. This is great.
Thank you.
This is great. Yes,
thank you.
All right. Anybody else? Let's open up the call. Anybody else want to jump in? Whether you want to highlight your past 90 days, or if you want to give a little information, and I should say, talk a little bit about your past 11 years with this network, or however long you've been associated with this. We want to hear from you as we celebrate 11 years with the Mastermind call. And we're kind of floating right now. I know I am. I might be levitating right now, just hearing these stories and thinking back. So we'll open up the call now to anyone who'd like to jump in and share.
I love it. This is Tyson. Hi, everybody.
Hey.
So much. I met you all. Got connected through a friend of mine that was in Vegas.
Our team.
And he was like, "Yo, you gotta meet these cats. These cats is cool. You gotta meet them. These are people. You need to meet. I think." So, okay. So, got on a call, and I was like, "Oh yeah. So I'm your friend now. Go ahead and email me. How do I get in contact?
I'm
How do
your
I
friend now."
Because I had just moved to Baltimore, and my life was in PC County before, but it was still not. It was new, and I was in a new phase of my life. And so Baltimore ended up being this wonderful transition space to, every space I've lived in has been some level of transition. Yeah. But it was a setting for me. And so to reset with business in my mind, with me on my mind, with deciding what I wanted to do and not what everyone else always needed and wanted me to do. Over those past, I think I've been with you guys, I've been with you all 10 years or maybe 9 when I came into the mix. So 13. So during that time, just like one transitioning about tomorrow, being there, then it was like buying the house was the new best thing, and then my parents, and I just always felt like I was a part of. I was able to say, okay, well, boom, I got a dentist, I got this person, I got that person. Okay, get connected with these people. We're gonna do this music stuff. Okay, how can I be a part of this? So I just kept getting pulled into different activities that fed my spirit, and for the first, I didn't have to be in charge of it. I think the first 20 years of my life, I was always running stuff. And at some point, I was like, okay, I need to be the best leader. I need to learn how to almost be a follower and to see how other people do things. I don't always have to be the person with the microphone in my hand, right? And so this allowed me to kind of like transition to being a part of the movement without being the head of the movement, which was nice because I was building some other things, but also being able to like feed into the energy and build from what you guys are building, and being a part of it, just being a part of that foundation. And so doing so, I've been a part of some integral activities and movements with you all, and as I've been assisting you all in some of that build, I've been building my own. So it's been a really awesome friendship that extends, of course, to Byron's wife and kid, who I love. It's like my niece. You coming to see me, my family's like, my mom was like, how's Byron? How's Maddie? Like you all are part of my family.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful that it's more than just a Saturday phone call, but I needed the friendship and I needed the information and the connectedness in this space. So I'm super grateful, and God is just continuously building and pouring in. I'm imagining the next 5 and 10 years because the last 10, I'm like, what just happened?
Yeah.
But it was everything I needed for my right now. And I'm just always amazed about what the next chapter and when the next chapter or the next book begins, but it's all aligned and everything has been built. I've been able to build upon everything that I've done thus far, and this has been a part of that process. So thank you guys, and I love you all so much.
Yeah, I gotta be honest. When I was listening to Dr. Truesdale, listening to Dr. Jones, and just the combination between the two of you guys, I'm like, these folks are family. This is, and again, this is all within within these 11 years that we're talking about. I mean, it was just not even a year ago, when I got the phone call from Tysana, and she's like, my father is transitioning. It was really one of those moments. I hung up that phone, and it was as if my uncle just passed. And it's amazing what happens when people come into your life and you have that unique vision. All you want is to see progress for that person. Whatever it is they're working on, you want to see them grow. You want to see, and I think the thing that started for us early on is when that process of saying, I want to see you grow, because I know if I hang out with you long enough, I'm going to grow too. And that's not usually the way people approach, I guess growing up. That's not the way society promotes, friendship and association. But I can say on a personal level, that approach is what has worked for me on a personal level. And I've seen it work that way for other folks, is to say, we are, you say guilty by association. I also look at success by association. So when you are hanging around people who they're they're pursuing something, they're working on themselves, and you say, I want to support you. What can I do? And without any kind of hidden agenda, any kind of motives, just pure, I want to see you be successful. That part moves into another realm. It moves into another space where not only do you pick up a new family member, a new friend, a lifelong friend, but you also tap into that window of success, the energy that is required to be great at what it is you're pursuing, to be able to go. I mean, I look at, times that, things that would the average person would say, yo, like, you should be pretty upset right now. like you should be upset. Like you should be very sad or whatever the case may be. When your mindset is still focused on like, I'm pursuing something. And it's like, I mean, I get that this is kind of a bad situation. Yes. But it's kind of part of the process. And so there's just nothing better than being in a situation where you have built relationships with people who also see the world that way, and I would say the biggest challenge to that, though, if I'm being very transparent, the biggest challenge to that, when you hang around a lot of people who all see the world that way, when things are really tough and really bad, you're trying to figure out, is it really tough or really bad? And because they may not communicate it. They may be like, well, I'm working, I'm pushing, that's my word. I always say, hey man, I'm pushing. If I'm going through something and ding, 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 if you call me one day and say, Dees, what's going on, man? I say, man, I'm pushing. That means that means it's a bad day. And I probably, sad part is I'm sitting thinking, I've told a lot of people this week I'm pushing. So that ding, 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 that is, so you have to figure out when you're talking to your friends who all are part of this network and who think like that, are they in a situation where you need to, maybe say an extra prayer, or, do something random for them that, that may be on time kind of thing, so we have to always also kind of keep our ears and our eyes open for that kind of thing. But but at the end of the day, it's just such a, I'm, like I say, I'm floating right now because this network has definitely, and the relationships and the friendships have definitely gotten me over the hump a host of times. And so let's open it up. Anybody else want to jump in and kind of share what's on your mind? We'll take a second to open up the call now.
Brother D.
My man.
Morning.
How you feeling, brother?
I would waste my time. Not saying that the people who have said anything have been wasting their own time, but there's a lot of power that emanates on this call. So it behooves you just to kind of lay back and suck it all in. You know what I'm saying? You have to, because you have to orchestrate, so you keep it going and all that. But yeah, a lot of this, and that's one of the reasons. One of the few. Well, there's probably about 5 reasons that the call and the friendship and the network has lasted this long, because there's a lot of power emanating from the call. It's just a fact. Everybody that said something. And I was laughing. I actually, if I couldn't been you, I actually busted out laughing when the young lady said, she was like, I left. And I'm about to close the deal. I'm like, that's what I'm talking about. I'm closing the deal today. That level of activity is almost, it's not cliche, but it is cliche on the call, meaning that so many times we've heard people go, oh yeah, I'm on the call, it's happening, I remember, I was it Dino, or it might have been Tysana. One of them was just like, oh yeah, and I got $50,000 from something or other. I'm like, oh, that's what you're doing, just getting 50 stacks on the low. Like, that's what's happening. Stuff was getting written off. I can't remember exactly what it was. Bottom line is, I'm so grateful and thankful for the call. And over the 11 years, and obviously, friendship, brotherhood, familyhood, Dwayne, and everybody else who's been on the call, has been such an amazing concept for somebody who stumbled on to personal development in a search, knowing that there was something else. That I gotta find something else. You know how the path is. God lights up the path. For you to for various people to go, various ways. So my light is like, hey, hey man, check this out. Check this out, man. Yeah, what you gonna do with this?
Yeah.
Okay, what you gonna do with this? Well, here's follow these breadcrumbs, on this path. And then somebody who is I'm not skeptical. I'm not a skeptical person, but and somebody who is almost a scientist, meaning that I like proof. I like proof. I don't always need proof, but I like you like proof and validation. So something happens, like, okay, well this does this. This is this concept. Okay, let's see it, in action right now. I'm seeing it in action.
Yeah.
And this network has been, and the calls and the people has been like the action and the proof to so many of the concepts and stuff, and experiment on myself to just perpetuate my life forward and just make me a better person. So I just, there's no level of words. So I'm trying to give as much, and like you were saying, you guys laid it all out. Like I'm trying to give as much energy as possible in every word so that you can see that, it's like permeating there. And when I hear, we've been doing it for 11 years, and then I think about the stuff that's, happened over that time, how it started, the concept of the mastermind in and of itself, and how every story, and success was proof that, the mastermind and energy and all that kind of stuff actually is working and is existing. And then to have taken conscious effort to try to tune myself to those energies, and seeing it in this environment, and then sometimes to my detriment, being in other environments where you can tune yourself to energy, and so you're more sensitive. It's almost like your ears are like how people can like the scratch on the chalkboard, or like high pitched noises hurt people a little. They're a little more sensitive to that kind of stuff. In all this effort, I might tune myself, not too hard, but pretty hard. So when I'm in environments, I'm like, I'm so out of the vibration right now. I got to get out of here. But I have not the vibration, but my desired vibration, or my desired environment. And so, but you also knowing that you do have the power, to turn it. So then I get into a game where I try to turn the energy into the direction I want it to go. So, but 11 years, your deck, origin story, me, you, Dwayne. I know you told it. Sitting on the deck, flipping burgers. There's people on here who probably get quoted from you saying it so many times.
Yeah.
And what was required. And what it turned into is just is such a blessing, friendship, family members, millions of dollars, curing, relationships. This is amazing. It's amazing. I'm so excited to see what happens. And there's one poignant part that is something that I love about getting on the call with y'all, even interacting with any of you when we do. Is that I found that most average citizen on the planet that we interact with, who is in a specific, who's in like kind of a social setting, most times they don't have a future mindset unless it's worry. So in this year, this time of season is the time where you spend time kind of kicking it with people, meeting up with people, talking about things, maybe hanging out with old friends, family, or whatever, cookouts. It's that time. It's this time of year, right? To do kind of random stuff. And again, that whole tune to the vibration thing, you spend time with people, and as we get older, you know, they begin to live in the past. Like, oh yeah, you know, I did this, and remember I did that, or this was great, and that was great, and you know, or I wish I would have done this, or remember when we did this, and all that kind of stuff, right? So that particular thing, when you guys were talking, that particular thing has begun to, I don't think rub me the wrong way, but I can feel that the energy's going in the wrong direction normally when people go that way, because I'm trying to focus on what's happening next. I'm in future mode. I'm like, let's go. Let's talk about, okay, yeah. Never, man. I know. What are we going to do? You know, what's on the horizon coming up that's good, you know? But to be here and in this environment right now, to hear that, all the great things that have to be celebrated, and it just took me back through the years to think about it, and how powerful it was just to live in that space, in that past space. It's unique that so many wonderful things can be, attributed to one specific area, and those past things are catapulting people to the future. So, and to have the combination of both, I'm like, wow, this is just another. I don't need any more validation or any more affirmation to see that, you know, what we got here is a great thing. But it was just another thought that came to mind, like to reminisce, and that the reminiscing is helping to perpetuate. It's a beautiful thing. So happy 11th, anniversary. So many things. My brain is just on fire right now.
Yeah.
Not to mention the celebrations that we've had for the 11 years, the things that have occurred.
Yeah.
You know, just so many great things. So I'm so happy to be involved. You know, I love y'all, and I'm super grateful for all of you and all your stories and sharing and all the help you guys have given me. You know, whether in real life or just energetically with your stories and all that kind of stuff that helps to keep me, moving. And it's proof of concept. So I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's real. I mean, I'm sitting here listening and just kind of taking in everybody's words and just thinking back over the past 11 years. And then I thought about this year, this year that on a more personal level, and it's like when you think, and I thought about kind of us flipping the burgers and trying to think about trying to look into the future, trying to figure out like, what are we trying to do? And, and I think if I put myself back 11 years ago in that guy's shoes, what was I trying to build? And if I'm being very honest, I'm in one mind, I was trying to, I was newly married, newly father, so I'm that definitely, of all the things I was thinking about, I would say the top number one thing was, how do I take care of these girls? How do I be what they need? How do I take on that responsibility? Even with having kind of maybe some doubts of, in terms of like, it's like, I'm thinking to myself early on, I was like, yo, this is the same dude, like, who never really focused in. It was and committed to a relationship for real. So I'm the guy who's supposed to be responsible for, this wife and daughter kind of thing. I was like, all right. So that I had to become that dude, and thankfully though, and this is to the folks who raised me, I was able to look at people who did it, and in my view, I thought did it well. So I was like, okay, great. I just looked at them guys. How do they do it? They, some of them dudes, they're still doing it. Some of the other guys, who passed on, but I felt they did it great. So, I was able to kind of tap into that. And so but I was like, okay, we gotta build. But then there were other aspects in terms of my ambitions around career and wealth and all of that from it's so interesting. And I talk a lot about, especially you guys who've been around for this network, I talk a lot about the relationship between the conscious and the subconscious mind. And if I'm being honest, the subconscious mind was like, yo, listen, I'll take care. You're gonna be all right. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're gonna have food on the table, you're gonna have a car to get back and forth, you're gonna be straight. Don't be worried about your financial situation. You're gonna take care of your family. Boom, we're gonna take care of that. Conscious mind is like, nah, we're going for the top. We are going to be ultra wealthy, and here's why. Like, so that conversation going back and forth between my conscious mind, my subconscious mind, and that's happening all while I'm moving and trying to play this whole thing out. And so when I look at today and all the things that have happened up to this point, I would say definitely the subconscious mind won. Because I'm not uber wealthy, and I would say, but I do have this yearning for being a better dad and a better husband, and yeah, I do want to be ultra wealthy, but I would say I'm at a point in my life where it's like, what I really want is to build something that, that'll definitely create wealth, but it'll help create wealth for other people too. Like, because I know people who are very like wealth mindset, like I need it, I gotta go get it, whatever. And I'm not like that. And I see what they've done to create what they've created. That's just not me. And so I've digested the fact that I can put my energy in the areas that truly matter to me. And I know I'll God bless me with another 44 years and I'll die a happy man. So now I'm at a point where I can say that. Whereas maybe back then I couldn't say that, right? Back then I was like, yo, no, whatever, yo. If I make a lot of money, my wife and kids will be happy. So, but now I can say, here's a big part of this. I have mentors from back then and mentors now, in the various fields, who, even when I look at what they've created, relative to the stuff that matters to me now, I can still say honestly that I don't even think they've touched what I believe God has put into my spirit to do. So it's one of those. It's a very interesting space to be in. Where when you've kind of built what you have right now based on following or following models, associating with the right people, trying to better understand myself, all those kind of things. And now in a certain point, and now you're looking to the future and saying, okay, what's next? How do we get to this next step? And what's so interesting, I'm just kind of thinking back to something Tysana said earlier, is that you do reach a certain point in life where there may not be a precedent, and so which means what you're getting ready to do may be unprecedented, and that's okay. And that's so, and I have to kind of leave with the fact of saying that's okay. It's okay to, and I'm talking to myself actually right now. So, but if somebody else, this may be good for you too. But it's okay to build something that may be unprecedented. and going back to what we talked about even with Dr. Truesdale, because when Dana looked back and said, okay, I want to build, you know, a new franchise business that is kind of a, you know, a subset of what I've built before. And I can look back at what's been built and feel confident about what I'm trying to build. And that's how I feel right now. You know, I feel like when I think about the next, and that's the title of today's topic, is the next level. You know, when I think about the next level, you know, I can, in the past 90 days, you know, and, you know, reading this book, you know, the world is just the beginning and the end of the world is just the beginning. And then digging back into the managing the professional services firm. And then I would say, like, for instance, and again, on a more personal level, this year and definitely this summer, you know, has been one of the most eye-opening years for me. You know, just you know, just being exposed to opportunities, being exposed to experiences. I've just, you know, it goes back to why I believe that everything, the next level will be unprecedented, at least for me, you know, for me and my family, you know, it's that, but it's in the right way. It's in the way that, you know, I am just really at this stage of my life, and I think probably going forward, you know, I think so much about, you know, I think a lot about Black economics. I really do. And a lot of times I have that conversation, you know, with folks, and I say, why, man? You know, why are you thinking about that? You know, like, why you need to be thinking about, you know, other stuff. But for me, I'm just at a point where it bothers me, you know. You know, so what was that? What's my man? Darren Hardy. Darren Hardy said, "You you're either passionate about the things that you want or the things that you hate. You know, things that you love or the things that you hate." And there is just something about knowing what we've gone through historically as a people in this country, and to see the level of issues that we have in our own communities, you know, and then watching other people try to frame our story, you know, and frame and mass market our story, and why we are the way we are and all this kind of stuff. It rubs me the wrong way to no end. And, you know, and it's something that I've said, you know what, I'm willing to spend the rest of my life working on this. You know, just make a declarative statement, you know, because, you know, the work is a multi-generational work. So it's something that I could just say is I could spend the rest of my life working on. And, you know, you still may not have solved the big deal, but at least you've created something that could the next generation can pass on and say, okay, Dees did this bit of work and we're going to take it and keep going, you know. And that's kind of where I am at this point. You know, I'm kind of at that point where I'm cool with just focusing on how do we address and deal with the issues, the economic issues with Black people in this country. That's my thing. And I'm cool with saying that. I'm willing to spend the time to do it. And how do you build something that can actually, you know, address it? How do you build it? And that's kind of where I am. If I'm being 1,000% transparent, it's not about being, and when you hear stuff, terms like that about being kind of oh, that's racist, isn't it? It's like, no, but I'll tell you what, I'm definitely a race man. You know, I'm definitely a man who's focused on the progress of Black people. Nothing against any other people, but that's just where I am. I'm not diverted off of the popular issues of the time and all these things. I said, you know, that's great. You guys work on those. I'm focused here. And there's a part of me that, you know, is, you know, you have to, when you look at the people who've done that type of work, you know, and it has how did it work out for them, right? And the truth is, it's not always great. You know, it doesn't always end well for people like, you know, who just, oh, you're gonna focus, that's what you're focusing on, you know. But there is there is this sometimes you just gotta focus and do the thing that you know you really want to do and need to do. And you know, so I say all that to say, when we're thinking about the next level for what you're working on, you know, the question is why. You know, why is what you're working on important? You know, and as we know, we probably, if you've been around this network for a while, you know, if your why doesn't make you cry, then your why isn't big enough. You know, if your why doesn't make you cry, then your why isn't big enough. And I know, you know, this is, for me, this is it. I mean, when our last call, we were in Martha's Vineyard, and that was my first time there. And after just learning the history of that place and learning the history of Oak Bluffs, it was like, for me, it was like I mean, it was like, this is exactly what we're talking about. Like this, it's a Black economic story. And for me, that was a big deal, you know, because it's almost like, you know, there's a lot that we don't know about our history anyway. And when you start trying to go down that road to pursue and learn more, and you start hearing more information, learning stuff that was like, yo, like, why did we learn this? And so I just think that I can, at this stage of the game, I can visualize what the next 5, 10, 20 years looks like. And I can see the work that is necessary to at least try to make it make sense, you know. So like my question to you guys is, you know, when you look at the next 5, 10, 20 years, you know, what does that really look like for you? And what work needs to be done to help build it? And then the bigger point is, how can we be supportive in that, you know? And you always have to ask that point of, why is this important? You know, and it doesn't have to be deep. You know what I'm saying? Like you know, I kind of themed it around this Black economics, but they don't have to be that. For some folks, it's just like, yo, I just want to see my family right. And what does that? So then the question is, what does that mean? What is my family? You know, progress within the family. What does that look like? Is it generational? What are some of the issues that have gotten in the way of progress within the family? You know, it's different for everybody. But I want us, and you know, because if we can have these kind of conversations with this network, you know, it's something about spending time around people who are purpose driven, and you know that's their deal. Like, okay, well, you know, you hang around paths. Okay, got it. You know what you're getting ready to experience. You know, you talk to Ty Santa. Okay, got it. This is what we about to go see this, because you know that they're purpose driven, moving in a direction that matters a great deal to them. And you also, you know, you want to be able to have that person you can call on real quick. You know, so, you know, you run into a conversation and you know that's your lane. It's like, they talking Black. Let me call Dees. Let me call Dees, because I know he has a thought on this. You know, I know he has a viewpoint on this, and it's so good to put yourself in positions to test out your views, and have an open heart and ear to accept something that may be different from what you thought and your kind of philosophy around these things. I mean, that's the purpose. That's the whole deal. So, yeah, we can go in on these topics all day, man. I was speaking of that. When I left Martha's Vineyard, I picked up 2 books. One is this one here, and I was actually just watching a documentary the other day, and with the author of this particular book, Martha's Vineyard, Race, Property, and the Power of Place. and it was a big part of that place to our sister Cheyenne, who's on. I think she may have had to drop off. That place is about real estate. It is a Black real estate story. I mean, I picked up another book while I was there, and called African Americans in Martha's Vineyard: From Enslavement to Presidential Visits. And it is a story on Black real estate, which is Black economics. And there are other stories like that. In South Carolina, there's stories like that, what's happening. And the land that was owned by African Americans historically, after the Civil War, now being just eminent domain and kicked in, and now luxury homes are being built, luxury properties are being built for vacations, and there's no support happening for those original owners, or just going in and ripping up. You see this other situation with the sister in South Carolina. So there are a lot of stuff like that that's going on around the country. Hey, it's that's just one thing for me that I figure, let's just spend the rest of our life working on this kind of thing, and help build Black economics, and find the best ways to do it, create networks. And so I could go off on a tangent on that. All right. Anybody want to jump in before we finish up? We're getting close to 9:00. I'm just I felt very comfortable in this space to kind of think about the 11 years that we've been hosting this network, hosting this call, and what's been built over the past and where we're going. We'll take a second and open the call now.
Hey, Byron. It's Addie.
Addie, how are you doing? Where are you, by the way, right now? Yeah.
I'm in DC.
Oh, you're in DC. Okay, got it. Just wanted to make sure you're in Aruba. That's a real estate story right there in itself.
And maybe I should share that.
Please do.
Maybe I should share that. So I actually got off mute because I didn't realize this happened in 11 years. But I would be totally remiss if I did not say a huge thank you for starting and keeping such a gem going. I don't always feel like I am, a part of the network, but I appreciate the fact that I can always pop in and hear magic, really. And for me personally, it's been very healthy, very transformational at different points. And so I really want to say a huge kudos, a huge thank you for making this happen, and for all the people that regularly keep the juice going. There are several things that I've picked up from here over the years, or over the time that I've been here, that have made a huge difference. I do own a leadership Bible because of you, and it is in my house in Aruba, because that's one of the few places where I can sort of take a quiet space and do good development work for myself. So I will say that. I'll say a little more about the Aruba story. I haven't really thought this through, and I haven't talked much about it holistically. But I know that when I did start the Aruba work, I was on this call, and oftentimes hearing other people's stories about how they are starting something new, they're following their dreams, they're doing things that they had never thought about, always inspired me. I think there was a time I was on a call and a lady talked about her work in government contracting. And for me, what I took away from that was the notion of, yes, I could I could work several different contracts. I could make a lot of money than I was making at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And it did lead me into a point where, I was able to get, reach out and get a few contracts doing the work I do well. And I think I might have at least, at a minimum, I doubled my income. Just based on at least listening to someone on this call talk about, her experience in government contracting. I don't know if she's on the call, you probably didn't know. It wasn't a 1.1, but her work sort of led to something, triggered something differently in my head and allowed me to push those boundaries. Then from there, I was really able to take that and say, okay, if I'm making so much more money, what do I want to do with it? And really related to the whole idea of the 90-day challenge. Obviously, it wasn't 90 days for me, but I started mapping out, what my ideal life would look like. And a huge part of that was having a separate home on an island. I've always wanted to retire to an island. And up until 2 or 3 years ago, up until the COVID year, it was just it was a joke. It was, I would say it in humor, like, if you guys keep stressing me, I'm just going to dump all of this and go to an island, whatever. So it was always a joke until COVID happened 2-3 years ago, whenever that was, and pieces came together, and I really didn't have the funds, to be honest. I didn't have the funds to finish the project.
Okay.
But I knew I wanted an island home, and I started having conversations with several different people about, what it takes to buy a home on an island, what it costs. I would go and tour homes, not having the money. I would go and tour homes and just it began to create a vision in my head about, I could see myself in one of these homes, right? I would begin to picture my bedroom and my living room and picture myself traveling from DC to the island or whatever, even though I didn't have the money. And really what it ended up being was a step-by-step, moving towards that ultimate vision. So I think the first, when I signed the contract, I had maybe $10,000 or something like that, that I had available to play with. And so I was like, you know what? There we go. I have a contract. If nothing else, if nothing else happens after this, I have a contract, and I could sell the contract later on. And from there, I just took step by step. The next step was I paid for the land, and when I paid for the land, I chuckled because I was like, I may never be able to build this house, but I would have it under my belt that I owned a piece of land on an island, right? And that's how the story went from day one to today, where I actually have a fully completed, absolutely gorgeous property on Aruba. But the point there, for those who are listening, is this idea of imagining possibilities and writing it down, this idea of, starting something on this 90-day challenge can be magical if we just take one step after the other. As I built the house, after I purchased the land, any little money I had, I would just go out to the island and just be present on the property. And they would put one block, and I would just be thankful for the fact that I had a land with one block, or I had a land with half the walls off, or whatever the case is, and all my little nickels kept going there until completion. I never saw in the beginning that the end will come, but every step for me was an opportunity to give gratitude for progress. And so I say, whatever that crazy dream is, give it a shot. Take that first step. You may never see the end, and the end may not be what you initially dream on day one. The house I have right now is not what I dreamt on the first day. I thought I was going to buy a house like you normally buy houses here as opposed to build. And so it may not always go in the same path that you initially envision, but dream it and just take those first steps and be grateful for every step of the way. And you just never know where you would land. Aruba for me is done. And I'm already thinking about the next project, right? But if you don't start that first one, you never get to the point where you're finishing that and starting the next one. And the next one is so much bigger. It literally blows my mind right now. And I don't know how it would ever be possible, but because the little ones happened, right? Because the ones that happened before Aruba were possibilities, because Aruba was beyond my wildest imagination and it has happened, it gives me leverage to say, okay, maybe there's a slight chance, even if it's a 1% chance, that this new big thing might happen. And if it does, how amazing it would be. So I know I'm talking a lot, but the point there is just dream crazy things and put it on paper and take those first steps, and you just never know where it will lead. But more than anything, thank you, Byron. Absolute pleasure meeting you, and absolute pleasure being able to stay connected with you over the years. This has been amazing. I'm very, very grateful. Yeah.
You guys probably thought I saved her for the end. Like, it's like, okay. You got like, why were you saving that?
Well done, Byron. Well done. Well done. Well done. It was a great production. It was a great production.
Great production.
It's a great production. I love it. I love a great production
Just send me
myself.
that check when you're done.
Amazing production. It was an amazing production. I love a great production.
I know you guys think I orchestrated that.
I love the finish. Yeah, right down. It was perfect. I mean, that was amazing. Can
I make you guys laugh? Can I make you guys laugh? One more thing is, so I usually, I don't know how you guys get the link to this thing, but I'm just really haphazard outside of work because my work is so unstructured, and so outside of work, I don't want any structure.
Yeah.
And so every once in a while, I would pop into Facebook and I'll see Byron as live. And that's the way I usually get in here. And somehow today I woke up and I'm like, I haven't heard from Byron in a minute. Let me go look. I went on his page. I didn't see a live. I went on Dream Makers Network. I didn't see a live. I'm like, oh, maybe it's not today. But as I scrolled through, I saw the number. And I'm like, you know what? It's probably not today, but I'm just going to be extra and just call this number and hope that I don't bump into, somebody else's business.
Wow.
And lo and behold, I call and I hear. So again, whatever it is you want, pursue it because you just never know.
Oh, wow.
That's it. And then I'll go to my normal quiet state.
Oh man, I probably shouldn't say, yeah, and thank you so much. I'm just like act like I really organized this whole thing to play out this way. Listen, I want to say a couple things and then we're gonna finish up at 9:00. But so number one, I actually go back to so Adiraka and I used to work together ages ago, 2 decades ago. But when you started this process, with building your dream home, I guess roughly 3-4 years ago. The part that I enjoyed.
2 years.
Was it 2 years ago?
2 years ago, yes. And it was supposed to be an 8-month project. Obviously, I couldn't afford to do it in 8 months, but yeah. I am done now. 2 years. Yep.
Well, the part that I've enjoyed the most is that you haven't been afraid to share the story. And to share the drama, because we can go before that. We can go back. I guess how long has it been since your house burned down?
Yeah, I forgot that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stories for days.
Yeah, I mean, and that part of the story, But I will say this though. And this kind of goes back to some of the things I was sharing with the sister Cheyenne, who was on earlier. Well, I remember when we were in Philadelphia working together, and I'll never forget this. And and Addie told us, she was like, "Yeah, I bought a property." And when she told us where the property was, we're all sitting there like, "What? Like that is the hood. Like that is not where you want to buy a property, right?" And she was like, "Yeah, no, I mean, I own the property and people live there and I get, I'm their landlord." And I was like, "Oh, you're not going to live there. You're going."
Called me. They called me what is it? Hoodlum? I mean, what's that? Landlord? I don't know. What's the landlord?
A slumlord.
Slumlord, yeah, that's what they call me.
I was like, oh, you're a slumlord over there, right? But with the moment she said, she was like, well, no, I don't live there. I own the property. They live there. I was like, And this was what, 20 years ago? Or almost that, 18 years ago?
Yeah.
I knew then, I was like, okay, this sister's on to something. And when you just look at it's just, there's something about just, we talk about faith, but for me at this point, faith and progress is almost like an interchangeable word. Because at the beginning of that is kind of, I do have a vision. I do have a vision, and I'm not afraid to pursue it. That's the part, and all of us have our own unique things that we're dancing around in our minds right now. Like today, we're dancing something in our brains. Question is, are you afraid to pursue it? That's the part. And like I said, Addie, I'm when we look at over the years, all the various things that have happened, even that you've openly shared in your life, and up to this point, to be able to have that beautiful home in Aruba, and to all the dramas and the details as to how it was accomplished, and now thinking what else is dancing around in your brain. I just want us to be able to walk away with the fact that if it's in your brain dancing around, it's in there for a reason. It's not just meant for you to have good dreams when you close your eyes. It is actually meant for you to realize and participate in this life. None of us know how long we got in this life, but we do know what we can do right now. And Addie, I'm glad you kind of shared that when you were walking through those homes, trying to experience what was dancing around in your brain with, only $10,000 probably for $1 million project, right? And saying, oh, I may have 10, I don't know, kind of thing. And where is it going to come from and all that? I remember we had a conversation probably 3 or 4 years. This is just definitely before the pandemic. So maybe in 18, just around what's available and what's out there, and but at the end of the day, I just want people to walk away knowing that where you are is where you are. What you got is what you got. But what's in your mind and what's in your spirit, that thing is real. And it has the power to create. It is realistically a living thing that you can take from mind to reality. If it's real to you, it can be real to everybody. Everyone can participate in it. And so thank you so much for taking the time to just kind of share that part of the story. That is the core of why this network exists, is to be able to maybe say something, maybe introduce a book, maybe have somebody on the call who can tell their story, and then people hang up the phone or close up the computer, walk away and say, you know what? This is about to happen. You know what? I'm getting ready to do this. That's all. I love it when somebody says, you know what? That's one of the I love that. It has to have that little kind of like, certain bit of expectation associated with it. But whenever I'm around somebody, they say, you know what? That's when I get excited, because who knows what's getting ready to happen at this point. And that part is why we do this. Is for somebody to walk away with that little bit of, man, this thing is really possible, right? Just like that. So I want to thank all of you guys for one, being on the call for this 11th anniversary for this mastermind call with the Dreammakers Network. I'm more than excited about what's to come. And Paz and I had a conversation earlier this week that really builds into that. I think that we need to Paz, we need a quick follow-up call based off of what we just heard today. But I'm just so overwhelmed by all of the stories and influence you guys have had shared today. So, sound like somebody was getting ready to jump in. Go ahead.
Byron.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, this is Lawrence.
My man.
Lawrence, man.
My man.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Lawrence. What up, lady? What's up, man? I'm like the young lady. Look, I would say she stole my line, but it's not mine, so I'm going to borrow it the same way she did. I would be remiss if I did not say anything on this 11th year anniversary, man. I think I've been on this call for like 8 or 9 years. It's definitely before I became who I am today.
Very
when
true.
I came on this call, I was Larry the landscaper.
Larry the landscaper.
Larry the builder in home improvement. And now I'm Lawrence the counselor, you know, the facilitator, the speaker. Man, you guys just like confirmed what God has already put in my spirit and I already knew. The power of writing things down. Every year I look at what I wrote down and it's unbelievable how I'm like, all of the things I wrote down, I've accomplished. Man, I made the transition. I decided to go back to school, someone that hated school. Went back to school because I had a belief that I wanted to help other men. And so I said, what's the best way to help my brothers? And it was like, you know what? Go back to school and get your degree in counseling. So I went, I struggled. It took me 6 years to get a 2-year degree. Right? Through the 6 years, my mom passed, my oldest daughter passed, and we had COVID. And those were just the major factors that had me to just persevere, because I knew my mom and my daughter would want me to, because those were the main two, that the reason I was going back to school. I say that because once I graduated, I thought I was done, but God said, nah, I got something else for you. And you know, through this whole ordeal, he just put in my spirit. He birthed something in me. He birthed birthed a program in me, and he had it come through me backwards, so I couldn't understand what he was doing. I say that to say, when I got in this field, I went and got a job as an intern. By the time I got my degree, I sat up there and was the senior counselor at the place, right? So he had me sit there and just grow at this one place. And then he gave me the passion and he developed me where he wanted me to just serve men.
Wow.
And since then, the best gift I could have had was last year, I was able to graduate on my birthday. On my birthday. Since then, every time I believe he's taking me to the mountaintop, he takes me back into the valley because he's saying I'm not done. Okay. And he keep me in the wilderness and keep me humble. And listening to this, Paul, what you talked about, what I'm passionate about, the fact that I hate to see our brothers out here. We are builders, and we sit up there and our own mind have us enslaved. Right. So what he gave me was, he want me to, you know, we talk about rehab, but I'm looking at a lot of our brothers have never been built. So how can you rebuild something that is never built? So that's the passion that he gave me. Not rehabilitation, but habilitation. And, you know, he then talked to me about starting a nonprofit. And I'm like, me, a nonprofit? Right? And I'm like, man, I just struggled 6 years in school for a 2-year degree. So what he said was, nah, I'm taking you here. So what he did was, he had me go and just register at a university. And I'm like, what am I doing? Are you sure I got all this going on? And what he said was, I got this, and just follow his lead. And I go and I'm thinking, okay, I'm gonna go to this small university just to go here and get this degree. Little did I know the history behind University of Baltimore, right? And my classes are in human services, and all of my classes is a direct
connect to establishing a nonprofit.
Oh wow!
And I would have never believed that in all my years. So I say all that because you talk about doing something unprecedented. You talk about having a passion, loving something you hate. I want to help our young brothers, but I hate the fact that how we sit around and enslaved to, our own mind.
That's right.
So that's where I am. And you talk about who's your mentor. You guys have been my mentors, right? Who do you listen to? That's what I hear you say all the time, right? I listen to you guys. I get on this phone. Taz said it early. I sit here and I absorb all this wealth of knowledge that I hear every call, right? So I feel at some point I need to get and just regurgitate what you guys have given me the ability to eat. So I thank you guys for letting me eat at your table. And, all of it wasn't in vain because I'm sitting here today and where I am is because of this call and just you guys pouring into me and me believing in what you're saying and doing the work and allowing it to manifest. So that's pretty much all I wanted to say. And, my why makes me cry every day. But what I heard with the young lady who just talked about, Aruba and building a house and just, having the faith. And that's where I am. So, that's pretty much it, man. And as Taz says, I love when it's called go past 8 o'clock. My brother.
Oh. And this is the way you celebrate. I'm telling you, I started the call off saying I am floating, I'm celebrating on the inside. I'm sitting here I am so proud of myself right now because how I'm not in pure tears right now on national television. It's national television. How I'm not in pure tears right now is the strength of the Almighty, right? This is, oh man, but I tell you, listen, if what you've heard today is enough for you to say, you know what? If this ain't enough for you to say, you know what? I don't know what's gonna take it because this was the one. This is such a blessing today, beyond a blessing. Yeah. Thank you so much, man. I'll listen, and I know Lawrence is on the call every. I know he's always on, and it's so interesting because maybe once or twice a year he'll share, but it's something about, again, we talked about consistency earlier. It's something about being able to see it. I know he's on there, and sometimes I think about the content of what we're sharing and the types of things that we're talking about, and it's just something about hanging up the phone, closing up social media, and knowing that he got that too, right? And the fact that he articulated it, and knowing the people who he's working with on a day-to-day basis, and folks will never be able to touch and feel, but the fact that he's investing in their lives that's the kind of stuff that we're talking about. I've been watching the World Championships track and field all week. And I love watching the relays. And that relay game it's just so exciting because it's like you're seeing people sprinting as fast as they can and they're passing the baton. And that's what I feel like this whole life is about. It's just sprinting hard, trying to create progress. And progress, you define progress in whatever way you want to, whatever programs and issues that you want to focus on. But you're sprinting, working, trying to move the needle. Sometimes it's just not clear exactly how and how fast you're going to get there and all that, but you're doing your part. And even when seems like it gets a bit more complex, you still know that you kind of got your tunnel vision, you're focused, doing your part. And when it's time to pass the baton, you pass it. But what can we do every day to try to inspire? And at the end of the day, we don't have to try to be showmen and all that kind of stuff. Just go out there and do your work. Just be committed to what it is that you do. And you do that with that spirit, people will be inspired and they will carry their torch. They'll sprint doing what they're doing. So I can say 11 years later that this is what we intended to happen for this network is happening. And that in and of itself is the blessing. That's the blessing. And listen, in 11 more years, we're going to be here doing the work. So when we hit 22 years, we'll be saying the same thing, we'll continue to focus on doing that. And, and ask the Creator to give us inspiration and access and, wisdom and the whole nine to make it even more valuable. But the work is the work. So I appreciate everybody. It is 9/12. Please get your weekend started. We're pushing toward Labor Day. At the end of the day, picture what is the next level, the next level for you. And just know that the next level is what you identify as a blessing to your life and to the people around you. And so, and I wanted to say it that way because I know a lot of times we have goals that you may think are just for yourself, or just for you. But when you're thinking about the next level of where you're going and what you're here to do, I can promise you, if it's something that is really lined up with your spirit, it's going to be beneficial to more than just you. And I'm excited to see it. Call me, hit me up. I want to talk about it. I just want to be one, prayerful for your growth and support, and to find ways to be supportive even tangibly as well. So that's all I got. Thank you. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next month. Enjoy Labor Day, be safe, and we'll see you soon.
This session is no longer being recorded. Goodbye.